Good morning, friends. Hello, friends. How are you this morning? Hope you're doing grand. Good morning. Hello, hello. Hope that the day is treating you well. Hope you're good today. There's goodness in it for you. Good morning, good morning. Hello, hello. Doing all right. Mug up this morning. Good morning, Karen. Playing in the dirt. How perfect could that be? It is as we come into springtime. Beauty of this time. It's great for you. Good morning, everyone. Hello, hello. Just before we get going, just a reminder that this Saturday we will be gathering. We have a team together. We have, I think, 8 so far to be a part of the citywide cleanup. If you'd like to be a part of that, just give a call to the church or just show up on Saturday morning. Um, we'll have our little team getting ready to kind of do a little cleanup around our neighborhood to beautify the city. It's a great way to start out. And tonight we have Bible study. In case you weren't tracking that, that will be that's happening. And then we'll have our communion meal and our worship on Sunday, continuing to explore and journey through Eastertide and with the resurrected Christ. All right, let's get going this morning. It is the first day of May. On this Thursday, welcome. It is May Day, and May Day is Lei Day in Hawaii. I don't know if you've ever been or been around Hawaii. Maybe you've heard that. It's a tradition that is about 100 years old. In 1927, the the good people of Hawaii were beginning to lose their traditions. That we think about modernity kind of overwhelming us now 100 years later, and how it's kind of the United States of Generica in so many different ways. Well, for the Hawaiians in 1927, they felt that they had this zeitgeist, to this feeling that they too were being overwhelmed, that their traditions of the world and in fact were being lost. And so the poet laureate, who would eventually be named the poet laureate, a guy by the name of Don Blanding, who worked at the Honolulu Star Bulletin. He was a newspaperman as well as a poet. Had an idea that they should designate a day to celebrate the tradition of giving leis to people as hospitality. I'm sure you've seen them. The tradition of a necklace of flowers. This flowered necklace that has become ubiquitous with the idea of Hawaii and what it is to be welcomed into this moment of hospitality that is extended to the visitor from the Hawaiians. The Hawaiians have been creating and giving leis far back as people can remember. There aren't a lot of records in terms of the ancient Hawaiians, so people aren't real sure how far it goes back. But there are those that say at least it goes back 1,000 years of tradition. People have been offering leis to one another in times of celebration, in times of sorrow, but particularly in times that we extend hospitality. And I think I think it's so beautiful that we, thousands of miles away, not just be able to celebrate this May Day is Lei Day in Hawaii, but that we also have a ring of flowers these days. That here the world is a bloom. I hope it is in your world where you find us or when you hear my voice, because it is right now that North Main Street is in blossom. Everywhere you go is just more and more radiant between tulips and daffodils. We had the opportunity to go to Parsons Reserve recently, where the field of daffodils. They'll be there for the volunteers will be there for another week. The expectation is there's still some daffies to come out. If you ever get a chance to go there, it is spectacular. A couple of acres of nothing but flowers. And today is a celebration of the offering of flowers to Hawaiians and the preservation of their traditions. That the weaving and the wearing of these customs go so far back they didn't know how far it went back. But the moment but Blanding, the guy who came up with this idea to have a day that it's celebrated as a way of helping preserve the traditions of the island, had this idea that just came to him out of the blue. And it came to him in this way, and he jokingly says, "I had this idea, and it was one that didn't give me a headache." And so I think he has a tradition of the ideas that he would have that would give him a headache. And this one, however, he said it seemed like such a good one that I had to take it to the editors of the Honolulu Star Bulletin. And that when he did that, they also thought it was a good idea, and then everybody else that they talked to thought it was a good idea. In fact, the princess of the island, she also would think it's a good idea, and so they would come up with the May the 1st, that this catchy line of May Day is Lei Day in Hawaii, and so they would declare that would happen in the May 1st, 1927. And for 98 years now, they have been celebrating this. I love this vision because not only is it a vision of hospitality, of welcome, they think about that, the tourists getting off the plane and receiving a lei and sometimes receiving a kiss. Well, the kiss tradition is even funnier because that's only as recent as World War II. That the origination story is that there was soldiers in World War II coming to Hawaii, and there was one particularly handsome young officer, and all the ladies dared one of the girls to go up and give him a lei and present him with a kiss, and she did, and so she went up and presented him with the lei as was their custom, and then gave him and then told a bit of a lie and said it is our tradition that to offer a kiss when we give a lei, and so that kiss was offered, and that became an ancient custom almost immediately. But you can see how it simply lends itself to affection. In the building of the temple of King Solomon, there are incredibly detailed designs for not just the temple, not just how big the temple should be, not just the layout of the temple in terms of the architecture of it, but also the things that should go in it. And the things that should be and the way in which they should be built and the elements in which they have. And so there is the kind of the altar area where the Ark of the Covenant would be sit, and then there were lampstands around it because, well, it's inside and it needs to be illuminated, right? So there needs to be lampstands. And the lampstands were designed with a particular notion. The lampstands were with a particular stamp on them, and they were this. And on the lampstand were 4 cups shaped like almond flowers with buds and blossoms. scholars have kind of gone deep into this. There's the almond is a deep and powerful sign and symbol that it is that we could go down an incredible rabbit hole just on that. But I just want to hold up that what is it that is meant to illuminate the presence of God in the world? What is it? What is it that they could put anything on it? The divine instruction was what to put. They could put anything on the lampstand itself. What was it put on? A flower, an almond flower. This notion that the beauty of the flower should be the thing that helps hold the candles and hold the lamps in which the Word of God, the presence of God, would be illuminated. As we stand in this world and we see the blossoms around us, we see the azaleas and the tulips and the daffodils, as we see the world come alive and illuminated in beauty, as we see the Hawaiians celebrating this day of holding their tradition, that May Day is Lei Day in Hawaii, that today is the day in which they celebrate offering leis to one another, and not just the tradition of hospitality, but in the tradition of their ancient practices of caring for one another, both in good times and bad, and for caring for the stranger. And we look at the most sacred place that in the Israelite church they would have an image of a flower there. Well, all of this, I think, points us to one thing. This invitation of our own lives and our own living about how can we be blossoms in the midst of the world. An old chaplain, when I first became a chaplain, and I know I've said this before, but it bears repeating, an old chaplain told me long ago, he said, the trick to the chaplaincy, the trick to the Army chaplaincy, the Army will send you lots of places, it will ask lots of things of you, some of them will be very hard, some of them will be wonderful and a lot of fun, but the whole trick to success within the Army chaplaincy is to bloom where you are planted. Even this old soldier who had been in war, who had been in the brutality of military service for nearly 30 years, the very image that he offered us as those who would be agents of the divine, agents of God in the space, representatives of the church and of the divine in the midst of the military practice and in the middle of soldiers. What did he say? Bloom where you are planted. That this notion that even we should be flowers among the thorns. Friends, our invitation is to bloom where we are planted, to bloom to bring this notion of May Day being Lei Day in Hawaii, well, that we actually are the bearers of our own rings of flowers. We are the bearers of our own understanding and our own desire for and our own looking out for the beauty in the stranger in which we might encounter it. And the way that we adorn someone that we love. We adorn somebody that is grieving. We adorn the brokenness of the world. We adorn the stranger, the friend we haven't met yet. We adorn them with heavenly beauty. We, like the lampstands, illuminate them and illuminate the divine in them. You know, when you go looking at people and when you go looking for people, when you encounter people in the way, we can look for one of two things. We can love one of two things. And it's right, and I believe this is right at the heart of what Jesus is talking about when he's talking about loving the stranger or loving our neighbor. What he's talking about is not just that we should love our neighbor and whatever our neighbor does is great. Good job, Joe. You killed another puppy. God, good work. You've been drowning those kittens all afternoon. No. When we're called to love our neighbor, we are called to adorn them with the garland of beauty, which means we are to love the good in them, to look for the good and the true and the beautiful things in them and love that. And that doesn't mean we have to sign off on all the other stuff they're into, and nor should we. And if we find it doing damage, then we don't have to love that. We don't have to say that's great. But that doesn't mean that there isn't goodness, there isn't God's presence in them somewhere, there isn't God's love in them somewhere. That if this old grizzled chaplain can say, "Bloom where you are planted," what does it mean for us to be able to bring the blossom of life, to bring the almond flower that illuminates the presence of God in the temple, to bring that, to bring our garland of roses, to bring our beautiful tropical lei day in Hawaii on this May 1st, to adorn the beautiful and the true and the good that we find in our lives and in the people around us. Don't go trying to decorate the stuff that isn't beautiful. That's not, we don't have to do that. But what we can be assured of is that there is by the way, this notion of the 4 lamp cups, that there's on each corner, whatever direction you turn, there's something good to love about in somebody. There's something good to nurture, there's some good to nurture in some situation, even in the most brutal and in the most broken. There is a goodness there in which it can be adorned with heavenly thoughts and heavenly ideas and compassion and lovingness that we can offer the world, even in its sorrow at a funeral, or in its joy in a wedding, or in its mundanity of just picking out a day and saying, this day we are going to celebrate this grand tradition that the ancients have given us of offering us love and hospitality to one another in the form of beauty. Friends, my hope for you today is that you will understand that every day is Lei Day. Every day as we walk out this world is our opportunity to adorn it with heavenly ideas, with heavenly beauty, with instincts towards the good. And not just that we should adorn anything that way or we should tolerate anything, but that to go looking for in the stranger, to go looking for in the hurt, to go looking for in the desperate, to go looking for in the difficult of our lives, those things that we can adorn with the true and the good and the beautiful in the form of these flowers that God has given us to spread upon the earth. Friends, the divine lampstands, that's us. That's us. If the light is going to be brought to the world, if the divine is going to be illuminated, it's going to be illuminated by us. And it will be illuminated by the true and the good and the beautiful things that we can bring into it. And it is my hope that you are, and you can, wherever you are, bloom where you are planted. Peace and grace to you, my friends. We are worshiping on Sunday. We have our cleanup on Saturday. We have Bible study tonight. Hope you are great, and we'll pick it up next week with another 11:11.